Good morning, people. Watch Woman 65. Lisa Boyce here. Now that we've got the idea, and now that we know that we were played like a fiddle by the government and by the powers that be as part of the Antichrist beast system, I got another article here for you that's going to open your eyes. We were played because there is, and I'm not putting, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting a light on this virus. I know people have had this thing, but the way, like I've said before and like I will continue to say, Trump did not have to shut down the entire government. This was a plan, and he's played right into the hands of the powers that be. He's played right into their hands. I found this article off of Zero Hedge. Now, when I come on here, I'm going to tell you something right off the bat. When I come on here, I don't mean to give you bad news. I mean to give you encouragement, because everything that I'm telling you actually is good news for the church, because it means that our time here is limited and that we're getting ready to leave. We're getting ready to fly out of here, which is good. And what's happening, this is part of the tribulation for the Antichrist. This article came off of Zero Hedge this morning. It says here, this is not a revolution. This is a blueprint for locking down the nation. This is a blueprint for locking down the nation. It says here, brace yourself. There's something being concocted in the dens of power far beyond the public eye, and it does bode well for the future of this country. Anytime you have an entire nation so mesmerized by political theater and public spectacle, they are oblivious to all else. You better be aware. Now, let me tell you something. The nations that be that are spoken of in Ezekiel 38, Turkey, China, I don't think China's spoken of in Ezekiel, but Turkey, Iran, China's included in this. They're all applauding the U.S. and the destruction of the U.S. They love this. They see this. And they're applauding it. This article goes on to say, and anytime you have a government so far removed from its people as to ensure that they've never seen, heard, or heeded by those elected to represent them, you better beware. What is unfolding before us is not a revolution. The looting, the burning, the rioting, the violence, this is an anti-revolution. The protesters are playing right into the government's hands because the powers that be want this. They don't want Trump to go through another 4 years. They tried with various ways to get rid of him. They tried with the Russia coalition. They tried with the porn star. Now they're trying with the virus. That was a fail, as you can see. Now they're trying with this. The protesters are playing right into the government's hands because this is what they want them. This is what they want. They want an excuse to lock down the nation and throw the switch to all-out martial law. They want a reason to make the police state stronger. It's happening faster than we can keep up. The Justice Department is deploying federal prison riot teams to various cities. More than half of the nation's governors are calling on the National Guard to quell civil unrest. Growing numbers of cities, having just barely emerged from a coronavirus lockdown, are once again being locked down. This time in response to the growing upheaval. This is how it begins. It's that dystopian 2030 Pentagon training video all over again, which anticipates the need for the government to institute martial law in order to navigate a world bedeviled by criminal networks, substandard infrastructure, religious and ethnic tensions, impoverished slums, open landfills, overburdened sewers, a growing mass of unemployed, an urban landscape in which the prosperous economic elite must be protected from, the impoverishment of the have-nots. Guess what? We're way ahead of schedule. The architects of the police state have us exactly where they want us, under their stomping boot, gasping for breath, desperate for freedom, grappling for some semblance of a future that does not resemble the line of totalitarian prison being erected around us. I'm just here to tell you what's going on, because a lot of people don't look at the news. A lot of people really don't know what's really going on here. We're being set up right now. This is the setup for the Antichrist. And I don't think a lot of Christians, honest to God Christians, don't know that this thing goes way deeper than what you can ever think or imagine. Way deeper than what you can ever think or imagine. For just one fleeting moment, we the people seemed united in our outrage over the latest killing of an unarmed man by a cop, hyped up on his own authority and the power of his uniform. That unity didn't last. Indeed, it didn't take long, no surprise there, for us to quickly become divided again, polarized by misguided fury and senseless violence of mobs taking the street, reeking of madness and mayhem. Deliberately or not, the rioters have directed our attention away from the government's crimes and unto their own. This is a distraction. He says here, don't allow yourself to be distracted. I'm telling you as a Christian, as a true believer in Christ, it is grace through faith in Christ alone. Even though I give you this news, don't allow yourself to be distracted. Keep looking for the blessed hope in Christ. More than terrorism, more than domestic extremism, more than gun violence and organized crime, this systemic violence being perpetrated by agents of the government constitutes a greater menace to the life, liberty, and prosperity of its citizens than any of the so-called dangers from which the government claims to protect us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you this hardcore truth. In fact, the government will not protect you. The police will not protect you. It is only faith in Christ and Christ alone. If you believe in the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, there is a hedge of protection around you as well. Not only do you get a seat in Rapture Airlines, but you are protected. Now, does that mean that anybody can break into your house and take over and do whatever they want? No, not at all. I do believe in the Second Amendment as well. I'm just saying. More than terrorism, more than domestic extremism, more than gun violence, more than organized crime. Case in point, George Floyd died at the hands of the American police state. The callous, cold-blooded murder of an unarmed 46-year-old black man by police is nothing new. Now, people want to say this is just like the 68 riots, the race riots back in the 60s, where the Watts riots and the riots that were here, and how the Black Panther parties got started, and how other organizations got started. No, this is worse. I was around for that. I was young, but I was around. This is worse. This is far worse because you're dealing now with an organization that is hell-bent on bringing this nation down. That wasn't back there then. This is 100% worse. You have no idea the powers that be. You have no idea how deep, like I said a few minutes ago, how deep this goes. This is not an organization. This is a movement. And like I said, they're hell-bent on lawlessness, and they're hell-bent on destruction. I'm going to link the article in the description box of this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But it's a good read. It says, unfortunately, we are now being ruled by a government of psychopaths, scoundrels, spies, thugs, thieves, gangsters, ruffians, rapists, extortionists, bounty hunters, battle-ready warriors, and cold-blooded killers who communicate using the language of force and oppression. This is an outstanding article. And at the very end, it says, we can no longer maintain the illusion of freedom. This nation is most vulnerable right now. Ladies and gentlemen, personally, and I said it before, and I know I never get tired of saying this, I cannot see us being here much longer. I really can't. Brother Keegan sent me an article yesterday. And we are not, and I'm going to be honest with you, we are not in the last hours of this dispensation of grace. We are in the final seconds with this dispensation. I do believe that. He sent me some of the things that we're going through now. Supreme Leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, released his poster telling Jews in Israel to prepare for another final solution like the Nazi Holocaust. Netanyahu threatens to destroy Iran. This is just some of the stuff that was here, that he sent me. Brother Keegan is a blessing. He really is. I love him. And he sends me a bunch of stuff every day. Hostile cyber attack on Israeli internet sites. This is just some of the stuff that has happened so far. Jordan hints they'll wage war with Israel if Judea Samaria is annexed. He's about to annex here shortly. All this is going on worldwide. Nobody's mentioned the coronavirus. Because now you see, like I said in the beginning, it's a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of BS. And I'm not knocking light of it because I know I'll get somebody saying, well, my parents or someone died of this. I understand that, and I'm sorry. I'm not making light of that. But you got to understand, you have to see that this thing was planned. And that this was all staged. And I'm not knocking light of it again. I know it was a virus, but this thing was planned. As a political ploy to play the people, not only in the U.S., but in the world. It was to hunker everybody down. It was a plot to control everybody. We're on the verge. We're on the cusp of the church leaving. And like I said yesterday in the video I did yesterday, again, that's a dump truck. Sorry. Like I said yesterday, we're on the cusp of the rapture. We're on the brink of getting out of here. This time, right now, what we're living in and what we're seeing is a picnic compared to what's coming. I'll be back later with more. Thank you.